relativism, which is what we want to focus on today. I can distinguish three forms of moral relativism. One of them is quite true. It says that morality is relative to God, to God's nature, to God's mind, to God's will. God's will always is in harmony with God's mind, and God's mind is the expression of God's nature. If you don't put the mind in there, morality becomes arbitrary, and God becomes a kind of a tyrant who says, do it simply because I say so. But indeed, morality is relative to the one and only metaphysical absolute, namely God, the nature of God, and the will of God. A second form of moral relativism is a false form. It says that morality is relative to situations, that there is no moral principle of good and evil that doesn't have exceptions, that X is good is always partially true. In some situations, X is good. In other situations, X is evil. Finally, another false form of moral relativism is that morality is relative to motives or intentions or personal desires. That a certain act is never intrinsically good or good in itself, but if my motive is good, that makes it a good act. If my motive is bad, that makes it a bad act. That is a half-truth. If your motive is bad, it's a bad act, no matter how innocent it is in itself. If you do something good, like giving money to a poor person, for a bad motive, for instance, to show off, it becomes for you a morally bad act. But the opposite is not true. If there's an act that's bad in itself, then the fact that you do it for a good, honest, sincere, charitable motive doesn't excuse it.